Hello, my creative bunnies! Today I would like to casually chat with you while we both enjoy this mandala making that I had a lot of fun and yes, enjoyment to do. And yeah, let's chat a bit about kind of maybe creative issues that we can have with our artist personalities and, you know, problem with inspiration and all kind of thing. Hopefully you can get interested about a few thoughts that I would like to share with you about kind of creative burnout and when too much is too much, even if we like it so much. But first, let's start with talking about perfection, because I did this mandala without any official tools. I didn't have any compass, so I just used the balls, several kind of size balls to make the circles. So putting the bigger one first and then the other one, trying to get them a bit in the center. But you can tell on my drawing that everything is a bit kind of wonky and irregular. The lines are kind of wrong, and even afterwards making these lines without any protractor or any tool. And so I guess at the end you can decide what you think about it. But for me, I decided I liked it this way, and that the kind of perfectly imperfect drawing was maybe as good as a perfect one, with a bit of life. And I don't know, I'm just thinking right now that even our faces are imperfect, not the perfect symmetry and everything. So maybe once again with our art it's interesting also to work with imperfection. And it was something I wanted to point out, because the point of doing this kind of drawing for me was trying something a bit new, a bit unusual, and also having such a relaxing time. And I am sure that if you focus too much of perfection and if you beat yourself the whole way because it's imperfect and it's not good enough and it's not going to look good, and of course you can't have pleasure of doing it and you can't have the nice relaxing time. So yeah, I think if you want to work on this kind of design and drawing, as well as urban sketching or every kind for me of art practice, try always to let go a bit more each time about perfection and thinking about the style and the design and the life that can breathe in your art rather than perfection. And I think that imperfection that you put in your art is what make it yours. I think I said so in the video about art style, that maybe the imperfection is where your personality shows. So yeah, think about it if you want to try to experiment with this kind of mandala or abstract drawing. And I just searched for a few pictures on Google Image for inspiration, and then went for my own design, and I really enjoyed it. So I will keep also talking about this mandala drawing, along with chatting about creativity and sometimes a bit of kind of creative exhaustion. Maybe you probably noticed that for a few months now I am less productive in my art, so a bit less drawing, a bit less social media sharing, and also less video doing and sharing. And that's because maybe at some point I went a bit overboard, especially with the YouTube project in 2018, and trying to do 2 videos and trying to do that's an interesting lapsus, trying to do 2 videos a week, and how my video can be long and huge and kind of complex, was such an exhilarating, wonderful experience, and I learned so much, and I am so grateful that I have all this community that you are part of with me right now. But it was also maybe a bit too much, and maybe the essence of burnout and creative burnout is when you feel that it's never enough. It's not only the amount of what you are doing, but it's the pressure you put on it, and the expectation, and the idea that no matter how much you are doing, it will never be enough. And that's probably a bit of a problem we have these days with social media, when on Facebook and Instagram your posts disappear so fast, and you as soon as you finish something you already have to work on the next thing without having time to be happy with what you just did and celebrate a bit of a small achievement, or just a post or video sharing. And I think this is a thing that can burn you out. So the pressure can come from your boss, from your colleagues, for a lot of regular day jobs, and some people can experience really hard things with this kind of situation when other people put a lot of pressure on yourself. Sometimes it can be a person in your family, like the pressure from your parents about being successful. It can be the pressure of your partner, maybe because you want them to be so proud and they have high expectations for you, or this kind of thing. But also sometimes, and it's probably especially true as artists, the pressure comes a lot from ourselves too, and we often say that we are our worst critics, and that's probably true. And so it's always this kind of thinking that we are never enough with our art, and it's fun because other people usually think better things about your art than yourself. I was a few months ago sharing a sketchbook with several kind of friends, illustrator, and it was nice to see that each person was kind of pointing out the quality of other people's work, like, oh, look what you did, it's so wonderful, I like your styles, you are so good, it's so interesting, mine is so rubbish and it's so crappy and everything. And we were all in this kind of wrong mindset of admiring other people's work qualities and maybe not enough our work qualities. So this is really something we have to be careful about, and trying to point out the quality of what we did, and once again not beating ourselves for not having enough perfection or enough qualities, because this is really discouraging. And I really think because of this impression of never enough and always more, and you have this impression that it never ends, and I think finally maybe burnout is a bit of the discouragement of the mind because of this too high pressure. So I really think we have to be careful about this. Something I realized indeed in these past years, no matter how much you love what you are doing, and I love every creative thing I'm doing, how much I love watercolor, how much I love sketching, how much I love this video making and all kind of creative stuff that brings so much joy and so much achievement in my life. I finally understood that even when you love something so much, it can be tiring nevertheless, and it can still burn you out, unfortunately. So we probably have to be careful about kind of restrict ourselves and preserve a bit our love for things, about maybe not always getting all in, and save a bit of energy. And I am talking about love right now. This is probably also the case for relationship or all kind of thing you could think you like or love. Another thing that I wanted to share with you is that probably this kind of creative burnout or any kind of burnout is not only about doing too much of something. Maybe you can't have too much creativity in your life, but that's also about the thing that you don't do anymore or you can't enjoy anymore because you have too much of something. Probably you have not enough of something else, and this can lead to problem and unbalance in your life. It's nice to have interest and even kind of a little obsessions that we want to indulge and go all in, but we also need to keep a balance with all things in our life and balance different interests and activities that could bring something different to our lives. By the way, thank you so much for your understanding with me being so bad at being consistent on social media and on YouTube, and I try to do my best with also, of course, my creative personality, and probably we have to embrace our personality as a whole and not always kind of accepting the nice part, with a nice bright side of the creative process and personality. And it's easy to want to embrace only this side while criticizing the other side, a bit of kind of the dark side of creative personality. So thank you for accepting me, as a whole person with also, of course, doubts, lack of inspiration sometimes, and a bit of creative burnout from time to time, and time to refresh and to renew my approach, and in a sense moments, a need of time to rebuild a bit my desire to create and to keep going on this wonderful path leading to Wonderland. So thanks to you, your presence in here is really appreciated, and also the support of my Patreon, always so appreciated. Thank you so much. So for me, a few years ago, being too much in this creative process, and I was really maybe kind of cocooning in my creative bubble, and I liked it so much, but I realized that maybe I lost a bit myself in this rabbit hole, and that I forgot a bit that life was going on also outside of this nice creative bubble, and that I had a bit of unbalance in my life because I needed also some time to connect more with other people, friends, family, or having a love life, or enjoying all kind of things that make life. Sometimes I was just thinking that my main point, maybe my only interest, were these creative practices and art, and all the rest I could consider it a bit like a parasite in my life, that okay, I have to do the cooking or the laundry or all kind of life stuff the quicker possible, to be able to get back sooner to what I liked the most. But I realized with time that all these activities can also bring some joy and can be also kind of a relaxing time, and now I also try to enjoy a bit of kind of doing nothing time, or just enjoying a bit of a cooking time, or even doing a bit of tidying around. And I don't know, I tried to change my mindset and not consider anymore this kind of chores or task like things in the way of the thing I like, but maybe trying to put a bit more love in anything that I am doing. And maybe this brings me back to this kind of mandala abstract drawing. This day I really want to do more and more a bit of this kind of maybe meditation drawing that can bring you creativity, because you choose design, you enjoy the pen on paper, and you have this feeling of creating something that we like so much. But at the same time, this is one of our problems with art and inspiration, that coming up with idea is exciting but also kind of tiring, and sometimes we don't feel like having ideas or getting into something new or having the right depiction of something. And I find that having a few ideas about more abstract practice in mind that can offer you a bit of creative time without having the needs of too much thoughts and thinking, and once again pressure and judging ourselves is really interesting. And I think it can be a nice jumping start activity also. Once you get the pen on paper, probably you will do other kind of sketch, but abstract is really interesting. Some people can get really into abstract art, like real art. So this is something that is interesting to practice, and also of course with watercolor, acrylic markers, ink, other kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to keep exploring a bit this. And by the way, I thought that maybe this mandala making could end up a bit boring at some point, and I was really surprised that I did the whole thing without being bored at any point. And I think that finally you start getting bored just the moment when you start thinking about the results and kind of looking forward to stopping and having the final results, and also maybe hoping that it will be good, good enough and perfect. And probably the reason why I enjoyed the whole process without ever, being bored is because I never really thought about, the pleasure of having it finished. I was really in the process, and what I was interested in was this enjoyment of doing it, and I really considered it like a visual meditation. So it was just a pleasure of, filling these little black areas and drawing these little lines and coming up with the next pattern that I would like to include. So maybe my advice for this video would be that if sometimes you feel that you experience a bit of kind of a creative burnout and a lack of inspiration of ideas, ideas. Try an experiment with a bit of abstract patterns and art, a bit like this. I will probably share a few other abstract practice in the next few weeks, hoping to inspire you with this. Of course, try your best not to think about the moment you will have finished the piece, but just about enjoying the process as usual. This is one of our best mantra, as you know. Please tell me if you like to do some kind of abstract art, whether it's kind of Zentangle or mandala, or maybe dripping paints or collage or mixed media acrylic thing. I would really like you to inspire me with what you like to do with this kind of relaxing art practices, so feel free to share in the comments, it would be amazing. This day I am starting to play a bit with this kind of premiere thing in YouTube, where you announce a bit before when the video will be released. So I will try to announce like maybe 2 or 3 hours before the time when the video will be live, and it's really fun because we can chat live with text messages while you are watching the video. So I really enjoyed last time to have a bit of an exchange with some of you while the video was running, and having a bit of your feedback real time. So I hope we will be more and more of us watching this video as a premiere the first time and exchange. So I guess you can turn the notification on with the little bell on YouTube to be sure you have the information, and I will also figure out how to try to announce it on social media. So this is a lot of fun once again. As usual, may the creative force be with you, and see you really soon. A big creative hug to you!